My son left me when his paternity came to light, but now he wants to rekindle.
This abandonment in the opposite direction?
Let's find out. I don't know. I, 48 male, found out my ex, 49 female, had cheated on me, and that the 2 children she had given birth to, 23 female and 21 male, only the girl was mine. I filed for divorce, and my ex tried for reconciliation, but I couldn't live with so much doubt. Once we got to court, it was like a switch had flipped, and she tried to keep me from the children. It didn't work, though. I had really good lawyers. By the way, this comes from user Carrie Early 1344, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, in spite of everything, I was willing to still be a father to Noah, which is a fake name, but my ex can be very manipulative. She told Noah about his quote-unquote real dad and even introduced them. Since then, I became strictly the fake dad, while he was the cool, real dad. When Noah was 13, he told me that he no longer wanted to see me and that he'd tell a judge the same thing if I forced visitation. I asked him why and if I had ever made him feel bad. Noah just said that he wanted to spend more time with his real dad and didn't like my house rules. I was heartbroken, but I let him go and still made attempts to keep the relationship. I called, texted, I sent presents, and even invited him to events. Noah wouldn't respond or pass small messages through his sister. When Noah was 18, he legally changed his surname to his father's and told me there wasn't enough room for me to attend his graduation. After that, I gave up and resolved to live life being a father to my daughter and son, 12 male, via my second wife. Recently, Noah reached out to me and apologized for his past actions and wanted a relationship again. I was surprised and heavily skeptical and was right to be so. Apparently, Noah's real dad got married and his wife gave him an ultimatum, and he chose her. I told Noah that while I am sorry for what happened to him, I had no interest in being treated like an old pair of gloves that you only think about and wear when it gets cold. My ex thinks I'm being hurtful and petty, which is rich coming from her, and my daughter says that she understands my pain but hopes that I can learn to give Noah a second chance. I just don't know because I'm in a place where I'm fine not having Noah in my life or having any communication with him. I don't want to rekindle a relationship just for him to drop me again when his real dad changes his mind. Am I the a-hole? And we have some relevant comments. But what do you think?
I agree with the daughter. I understand being upset with him, but at the end of the day, he's a kid.
Yeah, he was 13 when all this,
Yeah.
He was clearly poisoned against you.
Yeah.
To some degree by his mom.
Right.
So I think you should try to find a way to forgive him in your own heart.
You could be the adult in the situation.
I understand it hurts, though.
Sure.
But it's like, he's a kid. Galaxy 956 says not the a-hole. While I completely understand everyone else's reasoning, I feel many are missing the important point. Noah did not reach out because he saw the error of his ways or saw how his mother manipulated him against you. Noah is reaching out because his real dad tossed him aside. While it's certainly possible that event opened Noah's eyes, as outsiders, it's easy to just say, forgive him, he's just a kid. Being the person hurt, it's not so easy to just do it when the event is making you feel like a backup plan in any kind of relationship, much less than a father-son one. Having said that, while I wouldn't blame you for not accepting him at all, the most respectful thing for everyone involved would be to let the initial shock and anger subside and then arrange a meetup and talk to him. During that conversation, hear him out and figure out for yourself, is Noah reaching out because this opened his eyes, or is it out of anger and resentment at his real dad trying to use you as a replacement? OP says, I feel like I'm just a replacement or a placeholder until his real dad changes his mind. A deleted commenter says, do you think you could ask him what he would do if that happened? OP says, I've thought about asking him that, but I honestly do think I would believe him if he told me he was genuinely sorry and would still want a relationship with me regardless of whether his dad was in the picture or not. The name change was a big gesture against me. Zenev30 says, not the a-hole. He's already 21 years old. He had plenty of time to reconnect with you, but chose to do it now because his dad dropped him. His mom may have manipulated him when he was a kid, but he had plenty of time to realize that when he became an adult. Because as soon as we turn 18, we realize all of the wrong things we've thought for our whole lives.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
For sure.
Also, I don't get why his dad's wife would give his dad an ultimatum. He's an adult. Why was an ultimatum needed? Does he live with his dad? Is his dad paying for his expenses? If it's about money, then sorry to say, but he's only trying to reconnect with you because of the money. Don't let anyone guilt trip you. Stay firm to what you want. OP replies, I honestly don't know why his dad was given an ultimatum. He literally stopped talking to me directly when he was a teen and then ceased all other form of contact once he was 18. He had to ask my daughter for my phone number. TMSS16 says, your son, because he is your son, he was for more than half of his life, and you were in the hospital the day he was born. You changed his diapers. You're his dad, like it or not. Your son was a middle schooler when he decided to cut you out of his life. I think maybe your interpretation of his motivations may not be correct. There's a pretty strong chance that when he saw that his bio dad would think nothing of giving up his relationship with him for a girl, it reminded him of the dad who never stopped trying to love him, even when he didn't really want that love, and made him realize what he'd lost. At 21, he's still very young, and it sounds like he wants his dad back. Sure, it could end in the two of you yelling at each other and never speaking again, but there's also a very significant chance that this could be the start of a rekindling of that relationship. I don't think there would ever be a situation where you would say, oh dang, I wish I hadn't reconnected with my long-lost son. You're lucky in that it's only been 8 years. It will be much harder to reconnect if you reject him now, just like his bio dad did, and decide when he's 40 you'd actually like him in your life. I think it's fair to say that if the vast majority of 7th grade boys had a choice between a rules and stability dad or a fun, no rules dad, they'd pick the second one. Of course it hurt you, but I don't think it reveals some great moral failing of his. He was a young person grappling with the very traumatic fact that his identity changed when it came out that half of his DNA came from a completely different person than he thought. Of the people who were traumatized by this paternity revelation, I would think his trauma would be equal to or even worse than yours, particularly since he was so young when it happened. So you would be the a-hole for missing out on a chance to get your son back. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay, but at least you'll know. OP replies, Noah stopped thinking of me as his dad long before I stopped considering him as my son. So I want to ask, can two people still be considered family if they stop thinking or treating each other as family and there's no blood relation? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you change his doo-doo diapers?
Right.
Did you go, I love you, little baby boy, who I think is my boy?
Right.
Yeah, that's your kid, dude.
Yeah.
Oops.
Absolutely.
Oops, he doesn't have your genes, but that's your kid. Oops.
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 Yeah. And again, like what we were saying before, what comes with having a kid is just, letting them go through those phases where they're just like, I hate my fake dad.
Yeah, the finding out your bio dad is not the dad that has raised you and then cutting off your dad for your bio dad, who's also not a great guy, it turns out.
Yeah.
Is a pretty rough scenario to have to deal with.
Yeah, and that's so young, too, for sure.
So young. We have one more comment here and then we'll get into the update.
Cool.
My Licorice Life says, of course they can. People choose their family all the time. My daughter still calls my ex-husband dad, even though he's technically no longer her stepdad, and she has a relationship with her bio dad. There's always room for more love. There is a lot of hurt on both sides of your situation, so reconciliation won't be exactly easy, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. OP says, but again, Noah chose to reject me, and I eventually got tired of being rejected and stopped thinking of him in that way. He's choosing me when it seems like he can't try for anyone else, and I don't choose that. You mentioned your daughter, but did she at any point stop calling your ex-dad and then changed her mind later? Is her bio dad involved in any way? And if he was, would she still be calling your ex-dad? We have an edit for info here.
All right.
Just to be clear, because I keep seeing this, I divorced my ex when Noah was 6. My ex told Noah the truth about his parentage when he was 10, and his real dad came into his life around 12. This all didn't just happen when he was 13. By the time he reached that age, he already had at least a year to process the information. What are you talking about? See, this is like, it's like, well, he had a year to deal with. It's like, this is a child.
Yeah.
Being impressed upon by his mother.
Yeah.
How he should be thinking and feeling about OP, his dad.
Yes.
You're not going to undo that.
Right.
With like just a snap of your finger.
Exactly. Exactly.
When I asked my daughter, since Noah wasn't talking to me, if she thought her mom was pushing Noah to say those things, she said no. Right. And she would have also been 15 at the time.
Yeah.
not going to tattle on her mom.
Right.
You know,
It's just, you gotta understand these children.
these are kids.
Just trying to figure out the way of the world, you know?
Right. Apparently, Noah wanted to spend time with his dad, but because of his work schedule, it wasn't always often. However, when it could happen, it was conveniently during my scheduled time with Noah. I tried to see if we could work something out, but my ex and Noah refused any compromise, and the verdict was not the a-hole. Here's an update. All right, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, everybody. It feels nice to have my feelings validated. After a lot of thought, I decided to follow my wife's advice and write an actual letter to Noah, regardless of whether or not I intended to send it. I explained to Noah how much he hurt me by refusing to see me, never inviting me to important events in his life, and not wanting to meet or spend any time with my son via my new wife. I also told him how legally changing his surname cut deep. I wrote that in spite of everything, I still didn't take any pleasure in hearing about his father's rejection of him, as I understand how hurtful that can be. I said that even though I knew he was young, I was still angry over what he did, and a part of me felt resentful towards all the time, love, and money I spent on him when I technically didn't have to. Again, it's just that same vibe that I'm not liking.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but what about me?
Yeah,
It's
like,
the same,
I spent all this money on you, raising you as a kid. It's like,
and then you ignored me. So
right. It's like, well, that's
did I deserve that?
It's like what you're supposed to do as a parent. So
it's so much more complicated than like, well, I spent money on you. My feelings are hurt.
Yeah, it's like, it's not quite, the relationship between like a parent and a kid isn't quite as fair or as like equal as a friendship or something, you know? Like in a friendship, it's like, oh, well, like I, covered your meals here and there. Like maybe you could like cover some of mine, But with a kid, it's like, I bought you like a bed and like clothes. You don't have to do that for me, Yeah. It feels weird.
So this letter felt very cleansing, and I read it a couple times before burning it. In the end, I decided to reach out to Noah and ask my daughter for his new number. He changed it when he was 19 and didn't give me his new one. I sent Noah a message reiterating how sorry I was about how his father treated him, but I was hurt that it felt like I was being treated as a last resort. The circumstances of his desire to reconnect don't make me trust the relationship. I told him that I was willing to have some type of relationship with him again, but only under these specific guidelines. Don't call me dad or refer to me as father in any way. We can readdress this in the future, but right now it honestly feels too soon. Don't ever ask me for money. Cosigns for anything either. I'm not going to be his personal ATM for any reason. You invite me to your things, I'll invite you to mine. He's free to complain or talk about his bio dad with or around me, but he needs to understand that I have no kind words for that man and will either say negative things or nothing at all. I expect him to be nice to my son and new wife and treat them with respect. Don't go running to your mom in regards to information about my wife, or son's lives, as it's none of her business. Don't go running to your mother or sister for any problems you have with me. We either talk about it man to man or find someone else. I don't want them trying to put themselves into our business. He needs to understand that going forward in our relationship, if we continue to pursue one, it's going to be different and will take more work on his end than mine, as he is less of a priority to me now that he's an adult. And when I pass away, the majority of my assets will be split between his sister and my son through my current wife, and he will only be left the minimum requirement for him to not have grounds to sue. Again, I'm not going to be his cash cow. And by the way, you can be our cash cow by listening to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to stories or podcasts. Just search OK Storytime.
You can be a cash cow without spending any cash. How
True.
great is that?
It's true. Spotify and iHeartRadio are both free services. So, okay, I think given the context, it's like he's reconnecting with his adult son who was estranged from him, and he's 21 now, and he's got a 12-year-old son with a new wife. Sorry, I'm getting cozy because it's really cold in here. I think a lot of those boundaries make perfect sense.
Yep.
And it's not really like, I think I was all fair. I wouldn't be like, well, I think it's kind of, putting the wrong energy out to try to set up these boundaries with your, estranged son immediately. But like, I'm just trying to think of why, like, I'm not satisfied with this story right now.
Yeah. I kind of feel like I understand these boundaries, and I think it's valid to feel this way. I just think maybe saying it in the way that it was said in the post wouldn't quite be the way to do it. I wouldn't want OP to go up to his son and be like, okay, you can be my son again, but you gotta abide by these rules. You know, like I feel like maybe just have a heart-to-heart with him. Ask him what made him come back, because if he's been away for so long, you don't know exactly what went on in his life. Figure out what that is.
Yeah, let's finish this story. The rest of you can agree or disagree, but these are my terms if Noah wants any type of direct communication with me going forward, as this is the only way that I feel comfortable and how I believe I can protect myself if Noah ever becomes hurtful. This will also be his last chance, and if he disappoints me again, then I am prepared to wash my hands of him, because I have more to live for than just waiting to be loved by someone. Comment says, Noah never loved this guy's rules. Being met with a barrage of rules when he reached out reminded him why he didn't. He blocked OP's number and never contacted him again. That's why OP hasn't updated since. There's nothing to update. And that's the end of that story.
I sold my grandmother's secret recipe. My family got furious.
Did you sell it to Plankton at the Chum Bucket?
The secret formula. My grandma was a wonderful baker and had a secret cake recipe that she had created herself. It used some very uncommon spice combinations in the cake and frosting that produced a very unique but delicious cake. She would always make it for our big family gatherings, and it was always the most popular dessert. By the way, this comes from Grandma's Cakes, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, when she got sick a couple of years ago, she decided to share the recipe so that it wouldn't pass away with her, and offered to give it to any of her kids or grandkids who wanted it. I was the only one who asked for it before she passed away. I don't know why no one else did, as there were several other bakers in the family. After she passed, I took over bringing the cake to family gatherings, and everyone was happy to still be able to enjoy it. I also started making cakes for friends and family, and then for others by word of mouth to make extra cash on the side. My business was really starting to pick up around the time the pandemic hit, as some people who'd had my cakes recommended me to their own friends and family. It soon became too much to keep up with in my tiny home kitchen, so I reached out to a friend who had a catering business with a professional kitchen. Since her business took a big hit with the vid, I made a deal to use her kitchen to make my cakes and help supplement the takeout business she started to get by. My cousin, Jane, recently found out that Grandma's recipe was one of my best sellers and said that I had no right to sell out Grandma's recipe, especially after keeping it all to myself. She had asked for it late last year, but I said no. Interesting. I told her that she had the chance to get it from Grandma before she passed away and didn't seem to care enough to bother then. Since Jane had lost her job, she had decided to try selling cakes too, which I think is why she asked for the recipe. Unfortunately for her, it's not going well. Yeah, she doesn't have the secret sauce, the secret best cake that's making your business go wild.
Yeah, well, and then you can't be like, hey, that cake that you're selling that's so unique and special that's making you that money, give me the recipe too. I'm going to do the same thing as you. No!
Yeah.
You can't step into my cake market. I don't even care that it was Grandma's recipe at this point. Now it's just business.
Now you're just a competitor.
I mean, and then you add the layer on top of, remember when Grandma was, passing away and no one cared about the recipe except me?
Yeah. Now you're just wanting the money, huh? The reviews on her cakes have not been good, and no one has been recommending her. Jane said that the only reason my business was doing well was because of Grandma's cake, which she wanted to sell too, and my access to a professional kitchen. The kitchen does help with being able to work on multiple orders at once, but my business is doing well because I actually make good cakes. Jane is a good cook, but not a good baker. She doesn't follow measurements properly and instead does everything to taste, which works for cooking, but not baking.
Yeah, literally the exact opposite of cooking.
Yeah, absolutely. Using too much or too little of any ingredients like flour, eggs, or butter, or even their starting temperature will not give you the result you want. Yeah, I think I might have been like Great British Baking Show or something like that, where they were like, cooking is an art, baking is a science. And
baking
that's
is
like
just math.
The best way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just so precise.
It's literally chemical transformations.
Well, yeah, there's
there's
just no wiggle room.
No, not at all. Jane is demanding that I either stop selling Grandma's cake or teach her the recipe so that she can too. I refused and said that she was a hypocrite for wanting to sell the cake herself after getting angry at me for doing so. Good point. When she gave me the recipe, Grandma said that her biggest regret was never opening a bakery like she had dreamed, which was my ultimate dream now too. I think she'd love so many people enjoying her cake.
Of course she would.
Am I the a-hole? And we do have some comments, but what do you think?
No.
Part of me
No,
thinks...
you even just said it's like it was your dream to have a bakery and sell this cake. Now you're doing that. It's like you've made her dreams come true.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think like on paper, I want to be like, well, she's just doing the same thing as you. Like she just wants to sell it just like how you are. But the way that OP started her business obviously is such a more like pure way to start it. It just kind of happened to grow into a business. It didn't really like, she wasn't like, oh, let me make money off of this recipe.
She's not saying you're only making money because of grandma's cakes. Give me grandma's cake recipe.
Yeah.
I'm making some cake money now.
Right. It's
like,
so much more genuine reasoning and intentions. But comment number 1 says, not the a-hole. She wants to do what you were doing, and you are right. She had the chance to get the recipe herself, but she obviously didn't care to. She doesn't care that it was grandma's recipe. She just cares that now she can profit off of it. If I can't be successful, neither can you, is what she's saying, because she says that you're only really successful because of the recipe, and if she can't use the recipe too, then she wants you to stop using it. The very thing that she says is making you successful. You don't owe her the recipe. If it had meant anything to her, she would have asked for it back then. You and your grandma both shared a love of baking, and you were the only one to inquire about the recipe, so it's now yours to pass on to whoever you wish. Also, baking by taste, how the heck does she do that with the batter that has raw eggs and stuff, and making sure that nothing's off too much for it to rise or react like it's supposed to? I bet even if you give her the recipe, she probably would do the same to it and try to one-up you. Comment number 2 says, not the a-hole. The people saying everybody sucks here and that you should share the recipe for the sake of family harmony are giving you bad advice. Guard that recipe with your life. You've created a viable, growing business, and who knows how far you can take it. You could become the next hostess or Little Debbie. Anything is possible. All thanks to Grandma's secret family recipe. A great marketing gimmick. If you share the recipe with your cousin, she could sabotage your success by spreading the recipe around. Sometimes you gotta be ruthless. When you build a multi-million-dollar business, the rest of the family will take your side in any dispute with your cousin. She had her chance and she blew it. That's not your problem or responsibility. I wish you the best of luck. And we do have an update.
Hooray!
Hooray! Shall we get into it?
I want to hear about these cakes.
Me too. All right, updates. Firstly, I opened my bakery. Woo!
Yes.
I found a great spot near my city's office park main commuter route to the big city of caterer takeout deli that closed. We've been open since June and business has been great with all the morning and evening traffic and the lunch crowd from the business park. We sell cakes, pastries, breads, buns, etc. Typical bakery stuff. I also have a cook who comes in for a few hours in the morning to do eggs and stuff for breakfast sandwiches and wraps for the office folks. A few weeks after I opened, Jane stopped by. She apologized and confirmed what I and others had suspected. She only cared about the cake recipe because she was jealous of my success with my custom cake business. She had always wanted to work in food, but hated the idea of losing her evenings and working in a high-pressure kitchen.
Oh. I've always wanted to work in food, but I would hate it.
I would absolutely hate this job that I'm mad at you for having.
It's like being like, I've always wanted to be an astronaut, but I hate math and science.
Yeah, exactly. So when I suddenly started doing so well, she thought that she could do the same, but didn't know how to start her own catering business. I apologized too for not wanting to share the recipe, but I was afraid that she would ruin my business by putting out bad cakes, and no one would want to buy mine either. I then offered to have her come in 3 days a week to offer a soup or stew of the day during the lunch rush. I had the extra kitchen space for it, and soups and stews really do suit her style of cooking to taste. She loved the idea, and they were an instant hit.
There you go. What kind of eatery is this?
They got it all, man.
They got weird cakes and soup.
And soup? Well, they've got like breakfast sandwiches and pastries and stuff. I could see that.
Oh, they got breakfast Sammies?
They got breakfast Sammies.
No, I just thought they were like cake bakery.
Well, it's both.
Well, clearly they're expanding their borders.
Yeah. She had complete freedom to create whatever 2 kinds of soups she wanted each day, just adding things on a whim, and they were always delicious. They got very popular quickly with the office folk. since there aren't many other takeout options nearby without driving about an extra 5 to 10 minutes out, besides 2 fast food burger places. We soon expanded to her coming in every weekday and then making a cold soup option on Fridays for the Saturday lunch, closed on Sundays. It's been a great arrangement since she keeps her evenings and weekends and gets that creative control. In the last couple of weeks, we've also started doing take-home heat and serve dishes too, like lasagna, chicken, steak tacos, or sub kits, etc. I'll do the pasta and bread and she does the other prep and sauces. So far, they've been very popular. She's tried her hand at baking a time or two again and has declared that she just doesn't have the patience for it and hasn't asked for the recipe again, nor has any other family member. And by the way, they might not have asked for anything else again, but I will continue to ask you to go to your favorite podcast app, whether it's iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you choose. Just search OK Storytime, because you know what you're going to find there, Dakota?
2,000 plus episodes full of stories like this.
So many. So that's all I ask of you. I won't ask for your secret recipe, but I will ask that.
My secret recipe is love.
Yeah, that's what we got for you.
That's the whole recipe.
Just love.
Just use the love.
But there is a little bit more to the story. Shall we just roll right into it?
Yeah, I think, look, it's a business decision. You take fam out of it. It was just straight business. And then if you want to make it about the family, it's like, yeah, you didn't ask. And now it's my secret recipe that was passed down to me that has meaning to me now.
Right. Exactly.
So maybe if you would have asked, you would have the recipe.
Yeah.
Sorry.
P.S. For those wondering, Grandma had a standing offer for over a year before she passed away. When she wasn't yet sick enough to stop baking, for anyone to come over and she'd personally walk them through the recipe. She was very sad and disappointed that I was the only one who did so. Aw. The other bakers would always make excuses about time or say later, shortly before she passed away. She said that since I was the only one who bothered, the recipe was mine now. It's still my best-selling cake. Someone responds, Grandma would be happy because the right person got her recipe and now it lives on in a real bakery just like she dreamed of. Someone else responds, but she doesn't know that. All she knew was decades of everyone loving her cake. Then when she offered to share the recipe, everyone but OP saying nah. Comment number 2 says, I'm not saying I want the recipe. I too lack the patience for baking nowadays, which sucks because I used to love baking. But I'm curious AF where OP is and or what the cake tastes like that makes it so unique. And that's the end of that story.
My family is unsupportive of my marriage because I can't get married before my siblings.
Gotta wait in line. It's just how it works.
There are rules. I, 23 female, have always been the black sheep of my family. Growing up, I was treated like a servant and always felt unwanted. My family constantly belittled me, and I always felt like I didn't belong. By the way, this comes from user NoCrazy4544, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, a year ago, I met my now husband, 26 male, at the gym. He asked for my number, but I made it clear I don't date casually. I date to find a life partner. I told him up front that I don't flirt or have casual relationships, and I don't believe in spice asleep before marriage. I also explained my process. We would go on a couple dates to discuss important topics like family, future goals, children, and our likes and dislikes in a person. Then, if we both felt aligned, he would then ask my family for my hand in marriage. He respected my values, so I gave him my number. After a few months of dating and deep conversations, we both knew we wanted to get married. He asked when he could come to ask my family for my hand. Since I don't have a good relationship with my dad, who lives in my home country, we barely talk, I told him I'd speak to my mom to arrange something. When I told her, she was furious. She said, "You're the youngest in the family. You can't marry before your siblings. It's embarrassing for them." My siblings agreed, saying I needed to wait a few years. I refused. This was my life, and their embarrassment wasn't my problem. My mom told me I won't allow this marriage and insulted me, calling me names, and how I never listen. Despite this, I told my now husband everything, and he supported me. He suggested we go to my home country so he can ask for my dad for his blessing instead. I told him I wasn't really comfortable with that right now, and it's also very unnecessary. So we agreed on just calling him instead. A few days later, we met at a cafe in the evening to call my dad. Although I was nervous, my dad didn't seem to care much and gave his approval. I told my mom the next day what my dad said, but she was still angry, saying, "You're not marrying him now. You have to wait." She insulted me again, wishing she'd never had me.
Whoa.
And I couldn't take it anymore and left the house to clear my head.
That's big words coming from mom.
I say, "Ah, la, 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 I'm not listening."
Yeah.
I'm not listening.
What?
What are we talking about? Also, dad's like, "I don't even care. Marry a stick. Marry a rock.
Yeah.
I don't care."
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, probably on the same level of bad.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I was going to be like, I guess it's a little better, but I thought about it. I was like, no, it's just as bad as being told, like, you can't marry.
Yeah. It's
Just
like,
dad.
I just don't care about who you marry. It's like, well.
Yeah,
would
you're
you,
getting
like,
married? Why are you
Yeah.
calling me?
Yeah.
It's like-
Yeah.
You okay?
Kind of big news.
All right. Well, yeah, get married to whoever you want. I don't care. I called my now husband, and although he was busy at work, he made time for me. He suggested we have dinner that evening to talk. During the dinner, he reassured me, saying, "It doesn't matter what your family thinks. If you want to marry me, let's do it and have the wedding." We started planning our wedding, which my family didn't know about. Secret wedding. A few weeks later, my sister found out and told my mom, sparking another fight. My mom called me names and nearly removed me from the house. When I told my now husband, he suggested we rent an apartment for me to move into early alone, instead of waiting until we get married. I didn't want to spend unnecessary money since he was already paying for his own apartment, but he insisted, saying he could handle it. He's quite wealthy, though my family didn't know this. Within a month or more, he found an apartment through someone he knew, and I moved in despite my mom trying to make me stay because this now meant I will spend more time with him, which she didn't want. Living on my own brought me peace. Ah, yes, it does. My now husband would usually visit for dinner to discuss wedding plans and other things, and everything was coming together. His family was incredibly supportive, especially his mom, who helped me with many details. When it came time to send invitations, his mom encouraged me to invite my family out of respect for yourself, as she put it. I did, but my family rejected the invitations, calling my wedding disgusting, shameful, and poor. La 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 la, I'm not listening.
What? The whole family is on board with this tradition?
And they're just like, yeah, and you're so mean. You're embarrassing us, so we're going to just
Yeah.
be brutally mean to you. Yeah.
I wonder what culture this is that, like, where this is a very strict tradition. Like, all of my siblings have to fall in love at the exact same age in the exact same order that they were born in.
Right. Yeah. The younger sibling getting married is embarrassing for the older sibling. It's like, what?
It's like, well, that's
What?
on you.
Yeah, it's on you, dude. The wedding day was beautiful. Everything I dreamed of. It was far from the small, cheap event my family had assumed it would be. The next day, I posted photos online, and suddenly, my family started calling and texting. They were shocked at how elegant and expensive the wedding looked. They demanded to know why I hadn't told them that the wedding will be quite big, and asked for my husband's number, clearly interested in his money, now knowing that he had some. I warned my husband not to give them a penny no matter what if they ever contacted him somehow. Before our honeymoon, I blocked them completely to ensure we wouldn't be disturbed. It's been a month and a half since the wedding, and I've never been happier. Cutting off my toxic family was the best decision I've ever made. My husband and I are building a beautiful life together, free from their negativity. Some people believe I'm wrong for cutting off my toxic family, but am I really? It's mostly relatives that tell me I'm wrong because family comes first before your partner. I just wanted to clear that up because some people had asked about it. Thank you so much, everyone, for the support. I really appreciate it. I never thought strangers would be better than your own blood, but hey, here we are. Anyways, thanks again. I unfortunately can't answer you all, but I'll just read them. I'll make sure to update you guys if anything happens. Wish you all the best. And there's an update.
Oh boy. How we feeling? What are we thinking over there?
I'm collecting thoughts.
I still don't understand why the whole family is like mad about this. I feel like this is only now an issue of like the relationship over the family because the family is so mad about this. Like I feel like people just want to be like, hey, do what your family says so that we don't have problems anymore. And it's like, you guys have the problem. That's not on me to fix.
Right. You were the ones who have had an issue with me getting married. I never had that issue.
Yeah.
Here's an update, and it still honestly feels unreal to me. I can't believe I'm even writing this. It just doesn't seem possible that people would do something like this. Oh my God, what's it going to be? About a week ago, I was home alone watching a movie in the living room. My husband was out of town for a short work trip, just one night, so not far, and suddenly I hear loud banging on the front door. When I got closer, I recognized my mother's voice yelling along with one of my siblings. I immediately got scared and looked through the peephole, not daring to open the door. She screamed for me to let them in, but I didn't, and then came the threats and name-calling, and it was terrifying and also very crazy. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
All of that, agreed. After about 10 minutes of them yelling with no response from me, I suddenly heard something smashing. I was confused at first, but when I looked through the peephole again, I saw them smashing the window of my husband's car.
Oh my gosh.
He has 2 cars, and he was using one of them that day. I was so shocked, I just froze, to be honest. I didn't even think to call anyone at first. I've never seen her like this, and even though she's been awful before, this felt like something else entirely. It was scary and chaotic, and once I heard them drove off, I called the police. I didn't even tell my husband right away because I didn't want to stress him while he was away and likely exhausted. The police arrived within minutes, and when I opened the door, they pointed out a note taped to it. The note went something like this. We know where you live now. You can't run from us forever. Sooner or later, you'll come back begging for forgiveness, but by then it'll be too late. We won't take you back after your husband leaves. I don't know why they think he'll leave me. We know where he works. We know he's on a work trip. Don't underestimate us. He can't protect you all the time? Or is he even safe himself?
This is a threat. Just straight up a threat from her family.
Yeah, it reads like it was like cut out of the magazine.
Yeah.
Like the newspaper clippings.
Yeah.
Like they made you a ransom letter.
Oh my gosh.
I hope the police can take that and go, hey, so this is pretty clear evidence of threats against your safety and well-being.
Right. Because, like, they technically didn't say, like, I'm going to hurt you, but we know where you live. We know where you work. Are you even safe?
They're saying at any point we can get you.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Insane.
There was also a lot of name-calling and personal threats. I was shaking so badly I could barely hold the paper at this point, and that's when I called my husband. He didn't answer right away, but when he did pick up, he immediately sensed something was wrong just from my voice. But thank God he was safe himself. I told him everything, and of course he wanted to come back right away. I told him not to. He'd already done a full day of work and driven 3 hours there, but of course he didn't listen. So he drove another 3 hours just to come back. He was going to come back the next day anyway. While he was on his way, the police collected the evidence and his parents came to pick me up. I stayed at their place for the night. I couldn't sleep at all, and I was wide awake until my husband arrived. And the moment he did, he didn't even check his car or go home. He came straight to me. Help, I love this man. And by the way, I'll help you listen to full episodes with stories just like this. All you have to do is go to Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and search OK Storytime.
Do it.
That's all it takes.
All it takes.
And then you can listen to all of us. We do have a little bit more story left.
I'm shocked.
Keep that thing on you. Get a pepper spray. Get something that you can protect yourself with.
Yeah.
Because you've been threatened openly.
Yeah.
I hope that the rest of this story involves the police.
Yeah.
Getting involved in a way that matters.
Right. Get some good security systems going. What the heck? This is like so not where I thought this story was going to go.
Yeah, not at all.
No.
Didn't think it was going there.
No.
Crazy.
Yeah.
First thing the next morning, he contacted his lawyer. Now everything is being handled legally and we're filing a lawsuit. At this point, I don't even care about anything else. I just want these people completely out of our lives. But I'm not sure what we'll do about our house now. We don't want them to know where we live or where my husband works. We just moved in recently, but moving again feels impossible right now. And obviously we can't change his work location. Any suggestions on what we should do? And that's the end of that story.